Very cool. All right. Well, I'm excited to talk to you about your new book. Let's see if I can get it because it is kind of sunny. His Own Way. So, before we get into the book, here at Bionic Buzz, we're all about people's passion. Where did your passion for being an author kind of come? Or did you do the artwork for this too? Or
I wrote all the books. I've written a little over 30 books. We started
okay.
releasing December 22nd. So after
So
writing
where did
them,
your passion for being a writer then kind of come from? A certain book
then
inspired it?
I do the storyboards and then I give it to somebody who actually knows how to draw, Francesco Razzini, who's the illustrator. My passion is the same reason why you moved to Disney World. My children, my kids. I've been writing all my life, but with children's books, it started when my daughter she's 18 years old now, when she was barely able to lift her head off the ground when she was born. She was on the living room floor and I'm 6'5.5". I'm a big guy. So I got on the floor and I looked at everything from her perspective. And I saw that the table was nothing but legs holding something up, as the chairs were the same thing. And the couch made no sense from down there. So looking at everything from her point of view and having this atrocious childhood that I had, all the books are semi-autobiographical. And the first one, Little Itty Bitty's First Day, that we released December 22nd, based on her, because I used to call her, because I still call her Itty Bitty. There's 17 books in that series, but that one was about being lost and having a really difficult time, and hoping that tomorrow would be better. And it was just based on, but that's underneath. But on the surface, it was about the day that Itty Bitty comes home from the hospital, and everything and nothing makes sense, and everything is a little bit weird. So it's beautiful, sweet, and optimistic, as is His Own Way. When my son was 3 years old and my daughter was 5, I noticed that was the year that my son was diagnosed with autism. And I had no idea what autism was. I wasn't sure if autism was, does that mean he's a death sentence? Does that mean he's going to be mentally handicapped forever? What does the future hold? What does the present hold? My wife and I freaked out. So after about a year, my daughter loves to draw. I storyboard the book. I cannot draw. My daughter's amazing. After about almost a year, I noticed that her drawings were really kind of distressing. And I was like, between the ages of 5 and 6, at this time when we were not intentionally, but we were paying attention to our son, who, put himself in the most dangerous situations on a daily basis. Kind of opening and closing the door all day. The book starts off, it's told from my daughter's point of view.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I love how it's from her perspective, and especially like you explaining autism from her perspective, and how like you said, your son gets kind of more attention, and it kind of feels she kind of feels a little left out, but in the end, she kind of understands why.
Yeah, absolutely. With my daughter, it was starting to finally realize, oops, we're kind of ignoring her because out of fear for him. The book starts off, it's from her point of view. So what autism is to a 5-year-old is obviously different to an adult. Starts off with my brother's autistic. It really is quite fun. It means he opens and closes doors all day and hops around like a bunny. That is funny for her from a 5-year-old point of view. The reality of it was, we did actually stop him from opening and closing doors because we were afraid that he was going to hurt himself. And he had a tantrum that lasted about 5 to 7 hours. So we said, okay, we'll let him do the door thing until we understand. But I just kept my arm in the door jamb to make sure that he was safe. So everything that in the book that is kind of funny, like with regards to the physicality, if you look at, I did all the storyboards. So if you look at the photos on the walls, you'll see that, mom and dad and sister are standing up, even in the first page. It's kind of funny. The first line, she's pointing up at a picture and you can see that he's laying down. He's not standing up like everybody else is. He's doing kind of things his own way.
Yeah. Let's see if I can see it right there. Yeah.
There you are. And all throughout, before I set this book in motion on a public level, and every single book, I always have my daughter look at them to confirm that she's okay with them, that she's comfortable with them. And when she saw this book, she just turned to me and said, "Dad, how did you know?" I was like, wow, that's the trick to parenting. I love what you do with Music Saves Lives and getting 16 to 25-year-olds involved with a blood drive. Congratulations for that. That's amazing. Connected to the youth. And one of the things as a parent, because I'm 48 years old right now, my whole objective is to assure that my daughter is strong. I've been sober since I was 17. I've been sober over 30 years. So, these, not forgetting my youth, not forgetting what it was like, the trouble and pain and angst that I went through, in my childhood. And these books are very much therapeutic, not for necessarily for not just for children, I should say, but for anybody who's, you know, anybody who's having a tough time. I mean, on the surface, we see that His Own Way is a book about a 5-year-old who's, you know, kind of doing a diary of, you know, her experiences living in a household with a 3-year-old autistic younger brother. If we go under the surface, it's an aspect of acceptance. You know, it's an aspect of accepting people for doing things their own way. I mean, you and I are adults, but you have your quirks and I have my quirks, and we're all a little bit different. I don't want, you know, not going into politics.
Oh, I got plenty of quirks.
Exactly. You and me both. Ask my wife, and she's got a list. You know, the relationship has only lasted, you know, 29 years so far, because she sees my quirks and accepts me for those quirks, and that's what this book is about. That's what this book is about. Is kind of like, you know, are you weird? Are you different? I mean, I was the black sheep. I was a mental case as a kid. I was in 5 psychiatric hospitals when I was a kid. I was in a group home twice. My longest friendship was the program director of Penny Lane, Ellen Bradley, who the first time I was there at 16, accepted me for who I was, and, you know, loved me until I learned to love myself. And then I went back at 17 and got sober, and she took me to my first day meeting, not forgetting that, you know, underneath it's about accepting and understanding people. And, you know, the country, I'm not going to go into politics, but there's a division in the country, obviously, that we see here in the United States. But instead of blaming, and I don't find myself divided from other people, because instead of seeing the differences that we hold, I look towards the commonality in our humanity. And in doing so, you know, taking responsibility for my actions and realizing, wow, I really messed up. There's that page in that book where it talks about she's wondering if she's even needed in life. I always cry when I think about that page, you know, where it shows the, you know, the illustration of the bed, that it's her bed. And then the next page, it's just a generic bed. Wow. The understanding of the responsibility that I have as a parent, because my children are dependent on me. They didn't choose to come into this world. It's my job to take care of them. It's my job to understand, and it's my job to acknowledge the mistakes that I make. You know, when I mess up with my kids, or when I do something stupid, I make it a point to tell them I'm sorry. You know, violence never works. I mean, if violence worked, I'd be God. You know, Stephen, you'd be interviewing God right now if that worked, but it doesn't work. So I've never spanked my kids. I've never touched them in anger. I've never sent them to their room. I talk to them to find out what's going on. You know, with kids, the prefrontal cortex is not developed to the age of 25. It's located right here in front of the head. And it kind of helps with understanding consequences, relationships with other people, and understanding that my children under the age of 25, it's not completely developed. I understand that they don't act up. It's impossible for them to act up. They're simply reacting up. If they misbehave or do something it's because there's something going on that they're reacting to, not because of the creation that they're doing on their own. So, you know, so on a deeper level, this book is about accepting and understanding people for who they are, understanding and loving them for who they are, because then I love you for your quirks, Stephen. I have never met you before, but I already love you as a human being for the work that you're doing, the organizations you're working with. It's amazing the work that you're doing. And my loving you for that, then why would you be like, oh, you know what, Sergio, I hate you. I think you suck. And it's like, no, you know, it's like, give love, get love. And I'm not saying that to get love, but it's an aspect of acceptance. We come to accept each other for, you know, for who we are. And that's, you know, what this book is about. It's an aspect of understanding and accepting other people for who they are. And it's the most simple, you know, it's the simplest way to say it when we're talking about an autistic child who was diagnosed with severe autism, who, when you looked at as a child, you're just going like, yeah, there's something way off with this kid. You know, this kid is like nuts. I mean, he expresses love to me in his own way. You know, he punched me in the face. You know, he the tantrums, and you know, I was always like, why doesn't he do it in my way? And I realized, wait, hold on. Him saying I love you in my way is asking him to do things my way. And it's like, I can't ask him to do that. The doctors actually stated that eye contact would never take place. Eating solid food would never take place. Nothing would take place. The disabilities were so extreme that we were stuck this way. And they never took into consideration the X factor, which was my daughter, his sister, who is so connected and loving towards him and accepts him for his own way, which is what I was able to see in reality, which I pointed out in the book,
Mhm.
acceptance for doing his own way. Today, he's got amazing eye contact. He talks, he eats
That's
solid
awesome.
food. He eats solid
Mhm.
food. So he eats a lot. Up until the age of 11, he was only eating pureed food. And now after the age
Mhm.
of 11, when his sister taught him, that was she's the catalyst for everything he's done. During
Mhm.
quarantine, everybody's, concerned about, most people are not getting haircuts. I see everybody, their hair's going insane. So I was like, my hair is insane. So I took clippers to it the other day and I turned to my son and I said, hey, you want me to cut your hair? Because this hair is insane. He's like, yeah, no, I'm going to wait for Stasia, his sister, I'm going to wait for Stasia to tell me because she might have a master plan. I was like,
Uh-huh.
when I was reading your bio, I was like, okay, he loves video games. I was like, Sergio, my son would love you. He like you.
Oh yeah.
I was able to get the PS5 for him for Christmas. So he's got all the games.
Oh
There are perks to writing, and I'm sure having your show,
yeah.
Stephen, that you're able to get a couple perks that that come with a job.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
the,
Yeah, I love playing
but
Nintendo Switch with my son. So yeah.
exactly. So when he's talking about the master plan that his sister has for how his hair should be, I'm like, what video game is that coming from? Because this terminology is just get
I know
out of here.
exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's like, dad's suggestion, irrelevant. I'll talk to my sister and see if she has a master plan. So and that's on a regular basis. His level of
Mhm.
trust that he has for his sister and that connection that he has to his sister superseded anything the doctor said. And I came to simply understand, if I had the choice, would I have an autistic son? Of course not. That's,
Mhm.
absolutely not. I wish I had what we call today a typical child, but that's not what was in the cards. But having him has been
Mhm.
the greatest thing because I've been able to learn so much from him. If I'm not a religious person, but if miracles are those things that science cannot explain, there are miracles that I see on a daily basis over here with my
Aw.
son, with my daughter, the strengths and the love, and the things that, those hurdles that he's been able to overtake, those things that doctor said would never be able to, that he would never accomplish. And he's done that. And my friends have, kids that are either autistic or are in denial of their child being autistic, which makes it impossible. And the book is not necessarily for those that are autistic, it's the book for those that are siblings that have an autistic child because they get ignored. For him it was life and death. For her it was, oh, she's typical, she's fine. But thank goodness we caught it immediately, or she'd be in therapy for life going like, yeah, my parents suck. They totally ignored me when my brother was autistic. He got all the, excuse me, he got all the attention.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
that's one of the things I wanted to make sure. And then of course, give it a little deeper level with the aspect of connection with other individuals who you might not necessarily agree with, who might
Yeah.
be old and dumb, according, I'm just talking to your viewers now, seeing the demographics. I'm an old guy. The old people have no idea. That's what, with our youth, we have to give them a
Mhm.
little bit more credit, as give them a lot more credit for, for the activism and,
Mhm.
the ideology and the optimism that is shared by so many youths
Oh, absolutely.
compared to adults that are stuck in their ways. And
Yeah.
that's very much something that I've made sure not to do. I work with youth in the the juvenile in the juvenile system.
Mhm.
With those that are at camps, with those that are in group homes. I go to them
Mhm.
and talk to them and say, what, it's possible. You're having an incredibly hard time now. To the youth that are listening, but, it will get better. It does get better. Just give it a little bit of time, and it does. And if you want to see proof, I'm a 48-year-old old man who got sober at 17, and I've stayed sober through 17, going through hospitals, going through, psychosis, a violent childhood.
Mhm.
Today I couldn't be happier, and it's through the strength of my children and the beauty of my son's, diagnosis, of his, let's call it condition. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of letters for calling it a condition. Uh, that I've been reawakened. My life was about me before having children. It
Mhm.
didn't really matter. It didn't really matter. I mean, like I told you earlier, when I was 19 years old in Maryland, one of the worst jobs I ever had in my life was selling meat door to door out of a pickup truck. Everything was about me. And then later on, I got better jobs and everything moved forward. But my life started to actually grow to an incredible level when I had children. And that's because I was able then to connect and give my love back to the youth and, share my experiences, strengths and hope with my children, and then do so with other individuals, which is exactly what all these stories are about. They're coming out every month and a half, 2 months. So we're kind of booked till, so we started releasing December 22nd because I've got a little over 30 books. We're kind of busy through 2025 with books.
And they're released through Dad Publishings, right?
Yes.
You started.
My business partner is a dad, and I'm a dad. So the company's called Dad's Publishing. Dad's Publishing. So all the books are available through dadspublishing.com. We're putting them out as ebooks for the first year, simply because of the quarantine, the quarantine and the pandemic, and the way it's almost impossible to start printing books. So they're available on Amazon and Apple and Kobo and Google. So Dad's DADS, because he and I are both dads, dadspublishing.com. And, so if you don't get the books, I don't care. What I want you to know, I'm telling you and your audience from this interview, the most important thing is accept each other, connect with each other, through our shared humanity, not finding reasons to, disconnect by looking at our differences. It's what do we have in common? And that's what this book is about. And, the books have many, different subjects: self-esteem, homelessness during Christmas, which was, being stuck in quarantine. That was Little Bitty's Fly Me to the Moon that just, that came out on the 9th of February. The topics here, it's therapy. We don't say, as we like to say in the company, the books, these are children's books for the heart of the company. And what I say is, you don't have to, the only prerequisite to get one of these books is that you have to have been a child. If you were not a child, I have no interest in you getting the books. Please don't get the books unless you were a child. And these books also help adults remember what life was like as a kid, connecting to children, because they're all narrated from the child's point of view. And I've got my kids there to confirm that, I kind of got it right. I did okay as the writer, kind of, going back to looking at life through the perspective of a child, through them, and seeing the beauty and optimism that this world actually has to offer if we choose to use that perspective. Because we can always say, life is, the quarantine, everything sucks.
Everything sucks,
or we can say, you know what? Yes, the quarantine sucks, but I'm not the only one stuck in it. Everybody is in this. Now we have now we have something we can share. I very much look forward in the future to coming to Orlando and being in the room with you over at Bionic Buzz.
Oh, absolutely.
Until then, we're on Zoom, and I'm okay with this. I'm very much, I'm okay with this because I'm at least connecting to somebody, even though I'm going through AirPods and through my, and through a monitor over here.
Thank God for technology right now.
Absolutely. Be happy. My point is, I guess, be happy. I find myself in gratitude, not for what I don't have, but what I do have. It's been difficult, which is what this book is about. It's been difficult, but we're all in this together. It's a shared concept. So, I send my love to all your viewers, and to you. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing, Stephen. I read your bio and I was like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. This guy's incredible. I am so
I'm trying to spread positivity, and help where I can.
I'm so proud and amazed at the work that you're doing. It's just incredible, getting individuals involved, like with the Music Saves Lives, getting those blood drives. 6 years in a row, that it was a Guinness Book, 6 years getting the most amount of 16 to 25-year-olds through music. You're just, that's why we need youth. And when I look at
music was my therapy as a teenager. So I love how using that and be able to, and I love superheroes as a kid too. So I think that's what I liked about Music Saves Lives, was kind of saving lives and music all combined together. That's like who I am. So
I always spend time with my son. Yesterday, he had me watch the new Justice film. Have
Oh
you seen
yeah,
that?
the Zack
Zack's
Snyder Justice League. Yeah.
I mean, that's how you describe it. As an old man, I call it the 4 hour and 2 minutes. Why is it rated R? Zack Snyder's Justice League. I don't know why it was rated R. I need the youth. You know, if you can explain to me why it was rated R, and
I didn't even know
what
it
was the
was
last?
rated R.
Yes, and what was the last 15 minutes about? I got lost.
So it's like this dream that Batman's had that I guess comes true in the future. I don't know. So I guess
I was,
Darkseid comes and takes over.
but
I
except
don't know.
Except the only problem with that is the fact that I was watching an interview with it after with Zach, who said it was a trilogy. It was Man of Steel, then Batman versus Superman, and then
Yeah.
this was the third of the trilogy. So if that stuff comes through in the future, why would he call it a trilogy
Well,
instead of a
I
series?
don't know. Yeah, I'm more of a Marvel guy anyway, so 'cause that's what makes more sense.
Yes,
But
yes.
I mean, no, I enjoyed the Justice League, but yeah, there were some aspects that are like, okay, what's going on? So, but
Yeah,
anyway,
Marvel.
oh yeah, I want to get back
So
to you mentioned
no,
Penny Lane
please.
centers right earlier. You
Yeah,
went to as a youth, your Penny Lane centers, you said?
I was there. I was there twice. I liked it so much I returned.
Okay.
Yeah, Penny Lane Center is a group
Well,
home
because
over
you're
here in.
also, I know you went on to be a keynote speaker at one of the 40th annual Voices of Children fundraiser. So that's
Yes,
amazing. All right. Could you
yeah.
tell us,
You
for those
know,
who don't know about the centers, can you tell us about it and then your work with them?
let's see. Group homes used to be called orphanages.
Hmm.
Then they changed names, and now they're called group homes. I was there twice. It's the kind of it was established in 1969 by a woman named Evelise Markovitz. She goes by Eve, who saw that there was a need for girls outside of going to juvenile hall, that if there was a place where they could stay, it started in Pasadena. If there was a
Oh,
place, if there was a home where they could stay, where they got, love, support, therapies, and the attention that they needed, then the minimizing recidivism, with juvenile hall. So then they don't grow, juvenile hall, go to juvenile hall, really strong chance you're going to prison, because just unless there's somebody there to intervene. And that's what Eve did, was intervene. After a little while, that building burnt down, and she built a new one in North Los Angeles, and it's amazing. She works with the foster care. She gets kids into foster care, orphanages. They'd have homes, so when kids emancipate or when they turn 18, there are homes apartments that Penny Lane owns, where they can get the counseling and go to college and keep moving forward and keep building the strength. When I was there, I met a woman named Ellen Bradley, who was the program director, who was just absolutely awesome. It was a place that I went to because home was not a good place for myself, um,
mm-hmm.
kind of a dangerous and violent place. And my response to that was, suicidology, feelings of suicide and attempts at suicide starting at the age of 8. And then drinking to oblivion, first blackout at 6.
Oh my
So,
God.
so finally going over to Penny Lane, instead of at psychiatric hospitals, we're like, oh, okay, please tell me your problem. Oh, you have that problem? Let me give you some more medication, or let me up your dose. At Penny Lane, it was, you're not insane. Let's see if we can move on the right track now, because you're not crazy. You've got a long book, which is exactly what took place with me. And I'm kind of quoting that conversation with what I had with my therapist when I was there the second time. Absolutely amazing people, absolutely incredible over there. I go back over there, whenever I can, and connect. In fact, on Wednesday, in 2 days from now, I'll be meeting with Ellen, who is the program director. My longest friendship was with Ellen. Was with Ellen Bradley. We've been friends. Let's say I'm 48 minus 16. It's third. Oh God, I'm old now. 32 years. That that she's been in my life and absolutely loved, and absolutely said, you don't have to love yourself today. I will. You don't have to, like yourself today. I will. I will love you, and I will like you and support you on an emotional level until you have the ability to do so on your own. So there was no
Mm-hmm.
pressure on myself to even, to care about myself at all, because I already had somebody doing that. And after a while, that did rub off. All of a sudden I did start caring about myself. Started at 16 when she was that way towards me. And then at 17, when I returned, I was like, I think I'm an alcoholic. And, still go to an A meeting. And Ellen showed up at 7 o'clock at night after her work day, picked me up and took me to my first meeting. That's what Penny Lane is. It's not a lot of experiences of individuals have had, and stories in the news that we've seen with group homes where there's a lot of abuse, and it's incredibly painful and it's incredibly devastating, where individuals leave with PTSD. Over here, I left, my experience was, and with so many, with complete gratitude, because there was somebody there. And if I was not there, if they were not open, I'm sure I'd either be dead or in prison. There was just no other direction. There was no other direction that I was going. My failure as a child was my inability to, to kill myself. My life was so horrid. I needed to leave it because I needed to find some peace and love. And that's why I looked that direction. I am so grateful I did not. I'm so grateful I went to Penny Lane. I am so grateful. I have such gratitude for Ellen for being there and actually giving a darn when I didn't. When nobody else did. And that's what Penny Lane is, pennylanecenters.org. They're absolutely amazing. I go back on a regular basis. I keep contact with them. I'm meeting Ellen for lunch on Wednesday. It's just a lifelong relationship that I have with them. Not just, it didn't end when I left at 17, or I was emancipated at 18 from there. The relationship with them did not end then. It's gone 30 years since I left, and it is still strong. It's still amazing. I'm so grateful. They're growing and expanding to assist with all the needs of everybody else, with so many adolescents and juveniles that need that help. There are a lot of group homes here in Los Angeles that have shut down throughout the years, and Penny Lane stays there. Penny Lane has stayed strong. There's a support system there, and they do such an incredible job. That's why they're still around. Not that not that other group homes were not doing a good job, but there's nobody that beats Penny Lane. I'm just so, and I go back and I talk to the residents there. I go back and they say, "Oh wow, look, Sergio is, he's doing, he's never been incarcerated. When he left Penny Lane, he didn't go to jail. He's still alive. Many of them back then that left back in it's like 91." Excuse me, oh my God, 1990, the yes, residents that were there back in 1990, they, a lot of them had a difficult time because Penny Lane did not have the facilities for their, for those youths that were aged out of the group home. And, they've expanded and grown, and they're not just in North Los Angeles, I think they're in Palmdale, Lancaster, they're in a bunch of cities.
Oh, nice.
They're all, when I say expanded, they've expanded all over the place. And they're just absolutely amazing. So anything that I can't say thank you. When somebody does that much for me, like Ellen did, and Ellen did it because Penny Lane was there, because Eve did it. So somebody's idea, this woman's idea back in 1969 affected my life in 1990 when I got sober. So I can't say thank you to Ellen. It's impossible. I can take her to sushi on Wednesday because she likes sushi, and who doesn't? But I can't say thank you. It's impossible for me to express gratitude to her. She's done too much for me. She gave me a life. All I can do is pass it forward. All I can do is give it to the next, to everybody else. I can't take it for myself. I have to give it away. That's what these books do. That's why the catalyst for writing children's books was obviously my children and seeing things through their eyes. But on a deeper level, it's about giving back. They're a little therapy and counseling session in a book, with optimism, showing the pain and angst, but also that there's hope. Because if we don't have hope, really, what's the purpose of moving forward? And for a long time, I did not hope. In my youth, I did not have hope. I did not have, what's tomorrow going to bring? Who cares? I'm not even going to be around tomorrow. That was, my ideology back then. And because of them, what they've done for me in my life, what Penny Lane has done for me in my life, what Ellen did for me in my life, I pass it forward today. And that's what all these books are about. They're real. My children are not a purple hippopotamus trying to figure out how to meet up with the giraffe who thinks it's a unicorn trying to jump over a rainbow. They're really not. That you've got a kid,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly. From one dad to another, we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
There's fun for the imagination, but I've got a ton of those books. I've got bookshelves of those books, but the aspect of the reality and connecting and understanding. I've counseled a lot of people, adults in the jail system, men and women in the jail system, Even now, I've been going out to prisons for the last few years and meeting up with school shooters to find out why that took place, so that so that if we have an answer, then it'll stop. So I've been going to prisons around the United States and meeting with school shooters, and then I've been going to now I'm taking it to the next level where I've been going to death row, and I'm working with trying to get inmates out of off death row who are not guilty. Whether that, I mean, we're not going to, it's not a death penalty conversation, but the point is that one of the things that I found in common with everybody that I've counseled, and I've counseled, sheriffs, who work in the jail systems, who have, inmates, sheriffs, juveniles, residents at Penny Lane, everybody. I have friends calling me up and saying, yeah, so and so, my friend, their kid is having, whatever their issue is, talk to them. And one of the things I found in common, the commonality with everybody that I've worked with, regardless of their financial situation, regardless of whether they had money, did not have money, single, not single, men, women, regardless of ethnicity. I've worked, working with Marines with PTSD in the period of like in January 2016, one Marine put a gun to my chest. 3 weeks later, he had PTSD. 3 weeks later, in a different state, I was working with another Marine with PTSD, and he put a gun to my ribs. So I've worked with military with PTSD, and this is, I do that for free. It's, what has been given to me, I pass it forward, and that's what I'm talking about, passing it forward. And I don't recommend necessarily working with individuals who have who are armed. Those are kind of tense situations. But one of the commonalities that everybody has had is that they feel alone in their plight, that they feel alone in the issue that they're going through. I'm the only one that's going through divorce. I'm the only one who has violent parents. I'm the only one who has flashbacks of being in the war, everything. I'm the flashback. Everybody's alone in their plight. And the fact is, being alone, if everybody is alone in their plight, then isn't that the commonality? Then isn't everybody the same? Then isn't everybody the same if everybody has that in common? I was like, how can everybody feel alone and feel as an individual if so many people feel exactly the way you do, that they feel alone in the issue that they're going through? And that's one of the reasons, again, that's heavily influenced by writing with regards to the subject matter and the topics that I'm hitting, that, with this character in his own way, or the little itty bitty in that series, or the handsome little man, that series, or every other book, it's individuals who kind of feel alone in their plight, but actually kind of, find the optimism there. And, that's, so as to help people connect and realize, oh, you know what? I'm not alone I'm not alone in my plight. And if I'm not alone in my plight, then it's actually possible to get through what is happening today. And that's what the books are about. That's what His Own Way is about. That's what, The Greatest Christmas Ever is about. Little Bitty's First Day, Little Bitty's Fly Me to the Moon. This one, the next one coming up, My Mommy Daddy's My Mom, told from the point of view of a child growing up in a single parent household. The next one, after, I can go down the list, but I'll bore you with titles. But that's what they're all about. That's what they're all about. And finding in June, after My Mommy Daddy's My Mom, June 1st, a month after My Mommy Daddy's My Mom's coming out, is Little Bitty's Flowers on My Knees, which is simply about finding the beauty in every single day. Of course, told from the point of view of a baby, this really smart baby. Maybe you can do the voiceovers for Itty Bitty when we turn it into a cartoon.
Sure,
saying that you're already doing voiceovers, for cartoons. It's so we're not alone. And if you think you're alone, just realize everybody thinks they're alone. And if everybody's alone, then who really is alone? The only thing we're doing is just not communicating the aspect, not communicating those factors. But we're not alone. And if everybody feels that way, then everybody's the same. And if that's the case, coming to understand that other people are just in as much pain as you're in. They're different than you are. Their individuality means that they act different than you do. But if everybody is an individual, if we live individualistic lives, then aren't we all living the exact same life? that's kind of how, that's how I look at things with regards to what do we have in common instead of what do we have different. Whatever your problem, the problems that you're going through, it might be different from the problem that I'm going through. It most likely is. But the fact that the way that we reach, the way that we connect to that issue, the way that we reach that, and the way that we look at it is the difference, is the night and day difference between whether or not we say, forget it, I'm not interested. Drinking has gone up through the pandemic, drug use is going up through the pandemic. Or we can say, we're all kind of connected in this, and and reaching out to other individuals. And that's, so the books, I'm kind of tricking people into little counseling sessions, where they're very sweet and loving. They're very sweet and loving. If I said, oh, by the way, this is, this book is a therapy book, you'd be like, yeah, great, thanks.
Yeah, there are people that get turned off right away.
But if you look at these books and I say, yeah, they're great for, this one is amazing, amazing for children who are dealing with that. Some of the other books, the Little Itty books, are great for, are great for babies. All of them are great for children. They're written by child. This one's a little deeper than a lot of the other books, just because of the subject matter and the response that the girl has, to what's going on. If you look at that page that I was talking about, I'm going to give you a God, what's it called? They had it a bit in the movie that we were just talking about.
Oh, Justice League, yeah.
There was an Easter egg when it was there was a number of something that Zack Snyder said that was a reference to Star Wars. But there's an Easter egg. But there's an Easter egg in here. If you look at the bed that is on its own.
Oh, okay, let me get to it. The sister's bed.
Yes.
Little bitty. Okay.
Yes. See, little itty bitty. Nobody's going to catch that. But now for just your viewers, I'm not saying this for anybody else, for any of the other.
Oh, we get a little Easter egg exclusive here. I love
it. I told you about the Little Itty Bitty series.
Yeah.
Little Itty Bitty is a baby, but what happens when Little Itty Bitty is 5 years older? This is Little Itty Bitty 5 years older, and I'm telling you, Stephen, I'm not telling anybody else. So we're going to keep the secret between me, you, everybody who's listening to you,
exclusive
to this, and all their friends. And if you look at the cars, if you look at the toys, you'll see that the numbers 108 or 322 are on them. And I'm not saying this to anybody else. This is another Easter egg. If you look at their toys, you'll see that the numbers 108 or 322 are on them.
Yeah, what is that? I see it right here, 322.
Okay.
Yep. I see them, yeah.
322 is March 22nd. That's my daughter's birthday. And 108 is October 8th, my son's birthday.
And the book came out on March 22nd, right?
Yes, came out on my daughter's birthday, on her 18th birthday. So these are Easter eggs that I know that your fans are if you watch the Zack Snyder film and described it as Zack Snyder's Justice League instead of the 4 hour and 2 minute what happened, then I know your fans are listening, very much see it in that way as well. And they're as much into Easter eggs as
I love watching breakdown videos of all these comic book movies, Star Wars stuff too, where all the Easter eggs are reference to this number on this license plate, it's a reference to this comic book issue, So this is cool. I'm glad you put that in here.
So you've got those Easter eggs, and in any other book that I have, the book that's Flowers at My Knees, Little Bitty's Flowers at My Knees, license plates will have 322 or 108. You will see those in every single one of the books. Now you know what they mean. And they're kind of everywhere. So I put Easter eggs in all the books, and I have never said that to anybody outside of my children who enjoy. When I show my son, look, your birthday is on the store, is in the book. He's like, oh, it's like, great, Dad. I'm gonna go do, Then he goes back to video games. But Call of Duty on PS5 is freaking incredible. The graphics there, what they're doing there with those. So if I spend time with them, the only reason I know I spend time with them. I spend time with my daughter every single day. That's how to be a strong parent. I have work, absolutely. I have interviews, absolutely. But I make it a point every single morning when I see my children. I have this morning song, this good morning song that I sing to them, while I'm hugging them. So I'm hugging them for 15, 20 seconds. It's not just, to let them know that I love them. I do that every morning. Whenever I see them, I kiss them. I spend time with them every single day. I don't have time for video games, really. This is, between you and me, I'm kind of busy, but I make it a point to play those video games with him because that's what he enjoys. That's what he likes. So I make it a point to spend time with him every single day. I make it a point to spend time with my daughter every single day, accepting them completely for who they are. And because of that, they've done incredibly well during quarantine. Obviously, if it wasn't for my wife, they never would have entered a Zoom meeting because I'm technologically what's the word I'm looking for?
Oh,
I had to lock my technologically. Think of any connotation there.
in depth or napped, or what is that word?
Yes.
I'm dyslexic. It'll come to me as soon as we're done.
Special. I'm technologically dumb, technologically stupid, technologically ignorant. I don't know how. We have the Twitter, and we have Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, which if you go to dadspublishing.com, you can go, there are links there to, Twitter and Instagram, which I don't know how to use. I don't know how to use Twitter or Instagram. So I have somebody that,
Does
that
your
can
daughter
do that
help
for
you
me.
out with that, or I bet she's good at it.
She laughs at me. She laughs at me. She's like, Dad, get out of here. Go away. I was like, she has an Instagram account. I have no idea I don't know what Instagram or Twitter is. I'm not sure what the purpose of it is, except to read what the president has to say at 4 o'clock in the morning. I really have no understanding of what, what the social media is for. So I have people that do that. For my son, I locked the room out. I had to put a lock on my office because he kept rewiring my computer. Geek Squad, they know me by name. They're like, oh, Sergio, yeah, because your son's Sergio. And so I named myself after my son because I figured at some point I'd forget my name. But they're like, oh, yeah, okay. They know me by first name because they've had to come out and help me with everything. That my son decides that my son decides like, you know what, I need Dad to spend more time with me, so I'm going to destroy his computer. So he's kind of stuck with me for, so that he can spend more time with me. It's kind of adorable, but that's him showing his love in his own way. Now I just
he's showing his love that way.
Exactly, he does it in his own way. Now I have a lock on my on the office door, and I make it a point to spend time with them. And I think that's what, I think that's one of the strengths to having, strong youth, to having for my children, to as a parent, accepting and understanding, loving in them for who they are and how they do things, understanding, acknowledging, accepting that factor, and and remembering what it was like when I was younger. I remember leaving Penny Lane at 18, moving to Austin, Texas, a month later, and in that month I worked at a horse ranch because I couldn't go home. I went to Austin, Texas. They said pay rent, and I was like, I have no idea what that means. I've never done this before. I didn't get that education, so I ended up being homeless, but I stayed sober. All the trials and tribulations that I went through as a as a child, I could totally connect to the youth of today. The only problem is that the youth of today is like, yeah, you're old. We have no interest in talking to you because you're way too old. But it's like, what band do you like? Oh, really? Have you ever heard of Megadeth or Slayer? How about go to Metallica's first albums? My favorite band is Suicidal Tendencies, not because I had suicidal tendencies as a kid, but really, here I sit and watch my world crumbling down. I cry for help. No one's around, silently screaming as I bang my head against the wall. It seems like no one cares at all. Of course I connect to that. How could I not connect to that? And that's what these books are about. It's, I was able to connect, at least back then. We were talking about your connection to music as a teenager, and connecting with music saves lives. If it wasn't for these bands, if it wasn't for this music, my God, wine is fine, but whiskey's quicker. Suicide is slow with liquor. How could you not love Ozzy as a teenager when you're just a really angry, distressed, and upset teenager? Because nobody's actually paying attention to you. Nobody's acknowledging you and seeing you for who you are. So I loved Ozzy. I still love Ozzy.
I used to love going to Ozfest back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him live finally like 25 years ago. Now I see him in AA meetings. So so it's a little bit different, but it's it's still totally cool. I really want to meet Mike Muir, the singer for Suicidal Tendencies. Just those lyrics, I was so able to connect to. The connection to music, the connection to the arts, which is why the arts are just so important. If you don't create yourself, just connecting to them and seeing something that, there's a commonality. I no longer felt alone when I listened to the song Alone, from the Lights Camera Revolution album of Suicidal Tendencies. Wow,
Mhm.
here's a song that I feel alone. So I listened to it. I was like, oh my God, I memorized all the lyrics from that album. You know, I love I'm Not
Yeah, that
Crazy,
was me with
Institution.
Nirvana when I was a teenager. I mean, when they came out, I was like, "Oh, this is how I feel," you know. And it sucks that he actually ended up killing himself, but you know. Yeah.
When the album Nevermind came out, Kurt
Mhm.
Cobain that morning, when he woke up on a bus bench because he was
Mhm.
homeless.
Yeah.
That was the morning of, and then of course everything changed immediately thereafter.
Mhm.
But you know, even somebody like Kurt, you know, 27 years old, who died died as a kid. Uh, you know,
Mhm.
it,
Word.
and that's not going to be the last time unless we stop and say, hey, you know what, you know, we don't necessarily, we could go to Amy Winehouse, you know, how many celebrities, we could
Chris
go to
Cornell, you know.
Chris Cornell,
Uh,
we could go to Tom Petty.
Chester
uh
from Linkin Park, you know. He killed
yes,
himself too, you
Chester.
know. You know.
Yeah, you
He
know,
had some great
we're either
lyrics too, you know.
the guy is
Oh, bad.
brilliant. You know,
Mhm.
so we can either, so we look at it, so I mean right now we're going down a list of either people that committed suicide directly
Or
or
just
overdosed,
mhm.
because it's all an aspect of escapism. We're all trying to
Yeah.
escape this life that we're so alone in. And it's like, look, we're not alone in it. We're all in it.
Mhm.
You know, the we're all in it together. Whether you feel isolated, you're not the only one that feels isolated. Um, you know, everybody's feeling that way. And that's what these books are about. And that's what the connection here is. It's the aspect of, you don't have to feel alone, because you're not. You might think it, you might physically be alone, but you're not. You know, when I was
I love
homeless, I
it.
remember going to sleep at gas station bathrooms because there was nowhere else for me to go, and that was a door that was closed that could lock. Did I feel alone? God, yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's close to the definition of alone. But I did not lose my sobriety. I stayed sober. I fought, kicked, kicking and screaming. And how could I not do that when Ellen did that for me? When somebody did that for me? You know, when
Mhm.
somebody was in my life and telling me, you're going to make it, regardless of my physical circumstances. I broke into buildings to sleep.
Oh.
You know, back when I was 18. Uh,
Mhm.
I think the amount, enough time has passed where, you know, I can't get arrested for it today. Statute of
Mhm.
limitations has passed. I think
Yeah.
it's been 30 years, so now I
Honestly,
can tell.
they really should
I
make a movie about your life story because you've gone through so much and you keep moving forward, and I think it's very inspiring. I mean, I really do. There should be a movie about your life.
you know, only if you'll play me. I'll only do it
Okay.
if you play me, Steven. You're a much better looking guy than I am. You know, you're much more connected
I
to
don't
the
know if
youth.
I'm
People
tall
look at me and
enough,
go,
but yeah.
It's okay. We can put you on stilts. You know, we can use low angles and high angles depending on what's going on. Just, you know, to
Yeah,
fix it.
yeah.
We'll have Zack Snyder. I mean, if
Okay,
you're
yeah,
looking
it'll
at a
be
lot of,
4 hours long.
you know, if Victor is walking around, you know, with a plate of armor as his
Yeah,
body, I forgot
yeah.
his superhero name. Um, his
Which
name was,
one?
it was Victor. Only half of his face, only
Oh,
part of his face was human.
oh, Cyborg. Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think his real name was Victor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Flash, I remember him as Barry, and you know, Diane. You mean Wonder
Mhm.
Woman? Yeah, that person. But you know, if they were able to make Cyborg all metal except for this little flap of skin over, you know, the side of his head, you know, Zack Snyder, I think, is able to make you 6'5" and a
Okay.
half, and you know, just
What?
don't forget that extra half. Don't forget that extra half inch, because that's what separates me from those that are only 6'5". You know, I have to take it. Anything I can get, I'll take. Are you kidding? You know, there's
Okay.
still this.
We'll get Zack
You know,
Snyder to direct it. I'll play your younger you, and then we'll be 4 hours long. Honestly, we might have to be just to be from all the stuff you've been through. You know, so,
but looking back at 30 years, I
yeah.
I could say, you know, that my life, has it been easy? Of course not, but I didn't
No.
stop. I kept moving forward. I kept, you know, those things. So, you know, to all your audience, would you may say something to somebody today, or you may already have said something to somebody or done something for somebody, picked up that phone or responded to a text
Hmm.
or a tweet or whatever, uh, that somebody holds with them forever. Because I know that Ellen, when I was 16, absolutely did not think this would be the effect of, of her in my life and those conversations we had in her office. Or when I came back to Penny Lane at 17, I left for a little while, went to another psychiatric hospital, and came back to Penny Lane. There's no way that she could have known. And I've asked her, she said, of course I didn't know this is, that was going to be the effect. There's no, so reach out, connect, because what you say to somebody may very well be the catalyst for a change in an individual's life, where it might not be easy at the beginning, but they will move forward and life does get better. It gets easier. It gets more amazing, gets more incredible. There's no way I would have ever assumed that life could get this good from the point that I was, back when I was 8 years old on my skateboard going down the hill. And when the sidewalk hit the street, I laid down and closed my eyes, hoping to get hit by a car. I never thought I never thought 40 years later, that was 40 years ago. I never thought 40 years later, like, oh, this is where my life would end up. When I passed the second street, I opened my eyes really quickly, and my head was actually under a pickup truck. I just passed right in front of the pickup truck, and I was right under it. When I passed the third street, of course, I got pulled over by a cop who gave me a ticket for jaywalking. I was like, Jesus Christ. I'll accept that ticket, but he didn't realize what I was actually attempting to do. And that was my first attempt 40 years ago. And luckily, I was never successful with it. I was a suicidal failure, drowning myself, trying to hang myself, overdosing, razor blades, everything. I just was not good at it. So understanding and having somebody come into my life, like Ellen did when I was 16, and then back again at 17, and accepting that, because if somebody connects to you, you have to be open, have the arms open so as to accept the love and the connection that somebody is trying to provide for you. So, you can shut yourself, so shutting yourself off, not a healthy concept. Open yourself up to people that are willing, and, and then give yourself to somebody. And if they're willing, they'll accept it. And just like Ellen, I'm taking her out for lunch on Wednesday, as because we haven't seen each other for a while, and and I always express my love and gratitude to her. Even over this period of time. So that's what I tell your youth, and that's what these books are about. Dads, because we're two. My business partner is a dad. He's got a couple of kids, and or he's got a few kids, and I have children. So we're dadspublishing.com. And that's what these books are about. That's what the concept is. And now you understand the focus, and you got some Easter eggs over here that I'm never telling anybody else.
Love it.
So when everybody else is looking at it and not paying attention to the, to the name on the bed sheet, in his own way, be like, oh, I know that character. I know that character back when, when you see any of the little itty bitty, I've got 17 of those so far that I've written. We've already released 2. There's another 3 or 4 coming out this year. Releasing every month and a half, every 2 months, like I mentioned. But yeah, the little bitties all over the place. What better connection than there is with my daughter, and accepting the love from my children, and accepting my children for who they are is the only reason why then I got the next level of gratitude. After Ellen, it was my, my wife, and then entering my life when I was 19 years old. And how she maintained this long, I have no idea. You'll have to ask her. That's why she put up with me since I was 19 years old, and saved me. 19, an amazing woman that she is, and then having children that again saved me again, that took me to the next level, and finding gratitude and love, which is what I very much try to make clear with these stories and try to give to other people, because I can't say thank you. How can I say thank you to Ellen or thank you to my wife, and or thank you to my children? I can't. For what they've given me, all I can do is pass it forward, and that's what these children's books are actually about. So this one, and this one, His Own Ways, Autism Awareness Month, is starting April 2nd.
His Own Way, perfect for Autism Awareness Month. It's available now wherever books are sold, and on Amazon apparently too. So
actually, since they're ebooks, go to dadspublishing.com, and then they're available in multiple, Amazon, Apple, Kobo, and Google, which you can find wherever you are in this world. So yeah, get it as an ebook, download it, and you don't have to wait for shipping. You don't have to wait for for any of that stuff. It can just get you.
I love it.
Instantaneously. So so that's what I'm doing. Thank you
so much for taking your time, talk to me, and sharing your life story, and how you're just positive energy. Everything's paying it forward. So I look forward to talking to you down the road and let's get this movie made about you, man.
Absolutely. Starting, is it Sear, Sayer? How do I pronounce
Severs.
your last name?
Severs.
Severs.
Yes.
Okay, the Severs. I thought the V was silent there for a second. I love the work that you do. Don't stop with the work that you do. This connection to the youth, this connection with all these, with these charities, and just I love the passion that you have for the work that you do. And when I read that this was about, that your show was about passions, these are not my books. These are not books. These are my life. These are my passion, just in a book format, but these are my passions. I love what you guys are about over there at Bionic Buzz. And thank you so much, Stephen, thank you so much for the time and with this interview that you've given to me.
All right. Well, we'll talk down the road. Okay.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Thank you so much, sir. Be safe. Love to all the audience.
Bye-bye.